G'day trendsetters. Today I'd like to go through a few tips and steps on how to germinate or get carrot seeds to germinate. It seems a lot of people bemoan the fact that they just can't get carrot seeds to germinate. Once they're germinated and they're up, they're actually quite an easy plant to grow after that. There's only really a few things you need to know to get carrot seeds to germinate. That is a good planting depth. They only need 5 to 6 mils in depth to plant, which means they're very close to the surface of the soil in a good hot sunny day. That 5 or 6 mils is going to dry out, the seed will dry out and your germination has failed. But all we need to do basically is, while you're at work in the morning, come out in the morning, water your seeds and place a board over the top of your row. You do that for up to 10 days. It can take 2 to 3 weeks to get a carrot seed to germinate. Sometimes just when you're about to give up, you think you failed, everything you've done everything you think you can, and you're just about to give up. Next thing you know, there's this little green bend of a seed coming up out through the ground. So you need to be fairly patient when planting carrot seeds. Soil preparation, not so important for getting carrot seeds to germinate, although you do need a nice fine topsoil so as you can keep that moisture close in around the seed. You don't want big air spaces or anything in the top of the soil. I found an Instagram account the other day that had a list of how to grow carrots successfully. So rather than me rewriting it, I'm going to copy that and put it in the description below so you can check that out. Like I said, the only other thing you really need to know is you can't let your carrot seeds dry out for a second. You need to keep the top of that soil moist all the time. So water in the morning, if you go to work, put your board over the top, stop the top of the soil from drying out. When you come home, give it another water. If you're a stay-at-home person, you can come up and water 3-4 times a day. You just don't want the top of that soil to dry out. Just one thing I'd like to mention is the very first time you water your carrot seeds, really soak the soil, and even on the same day you can come up and water 2 or 3 times. You really need to get that water into the carrot seed so it knows it's time to grow. So in the first 1, 2, 3 days, don't be afraid just to pour the water on. Ideally, which just doesn't happen here, but if you've got some rainy weather coming through, get in and plant before the rainy weather so that soil just doesn't dry out for a week, and you'll get a really good germination from carrot seeds then. But as for planting them, this is a little Nanty carrot, which isn't a really big deep carrot. I don't want a big deep carrot, and my soil's not good enough for it. And you'll find your own favourite as time goes by. I've got 3 or 4 different types of carrots, but in spring, this is the one I like to plant. Now, as you will see, they're not that big a seed, but they're big enough that you can pick them up and plant them individually. And that's what we'll do. Every 20-25 mils, just drop a seed in. It doesn't matter if you drop 3 or 4 in, you can thin them out as time goes on. I'm quite regularly dropping 2 or 3 in there each time, doesn't matter. Right, now I've always marked your rows. I've got just a couple of little canes at either end. It's amazing how quickly you'll lose a row if you don't mark it. And Just gently brush soil over into that row. Once you've brushed the soil over, you want to compact it, firm it down. This just helps the seed to make contact with the soil. You don't want any big air spaces right up next to the soil, up next to the seed, because that'll dry it out. Now I'll water that, and I've got this nice big board here that for the first week to 10 days I'll put that on. Obviously I'll lift it every time I come home, check that there isn't any little shoots of the little carrots. You'll see they like come up like a little bend, and then the two leaves will open up at the top. And once you see the green shoots of the carrot seeds, you don't need to do this anymore. They should be fairly good throughout to survive throughout the day, as long as you give them a good water in the morning. All right, I hope that helps. I hope that gives you some idea of how to germinate carrot seeds. It's not that hard. You just got to keep at it, and eventually you'll work out little tricks and sort of, oh, you know, I let it dry that day and the whole thing's buggered. You can't afford to have, that's probably the hardest thing about carrots. You can't afford to make one mistake. You need to keep that moisture in the topsoil for the whole time until they start to germinate. It is a great help to me if you would consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel so I can make more videos like this. And with a bit of luck, I will see you in the next video. So cheers and bye for now.